we can't blame that man because no one decided to stand with him. People, they even come openly and say, no, I don't have anything to do with Geza, and it ended there.
Turikutya kudemonstratira vanhu vanozotitengesa kumberi, like ndinoprotestera kuti dai mafume apinda, then at the end ozondipa results aakutipa.
Ndibva pabuda imwe audio achiti hey, ndoda president, ndoda kupuhwa mota, ndoda kupuhwa mabodyguards. I also want to be. There was confusion, a lot of confusion. Vanhu vakati ku-opposition toita sei chavanga vakarikola vanhu tawana munhu, if this person can remove ED, this is gonna be the best for us as Zimbabweans.
I have many things why I did blame Geza. I blame Geza for lying to us as a citizen of Zimbabwe. He did talk about removing Rigananda on 31. That's number one. Number two, he promised us to arrest Riganandas from day Rakaita press, which was, is it Friday or Saturday? If I'm not mistaken, should be 2 days or more before 31. He talks about action. Now I'm now blaming him because he was on front. He gave us promise with anyone vane power to remove Rigananda, or vane power to arrest Rigananda, or vane power to remove Mnangagwa, but he failed.
Sakana zvekare kwatiri kuita paCullion TV channel yenyu patinokupai now ma updates zvinhu zvakasiyana siyana zvinenge zvichiitika. I think kune vanhu vanga vari panapa vakateerera news kubva day 1 vanozviziva kuti nyaya idzi tinodzifambira, aiwa tinochigona chibasa ichi. Asi kana uchinge watosvikawo panapa iri first time yako, zvakakosha kuti ugare waba subscribe button wojoina this amazing family patinodamba tichikupai nhau dzese dzinenge dzichiitika pachivhitivhiti chisina fear, chivhitivhiti chisina favor kana kuti rusarura ganda. Nhasi pane nyaya iri kutenderera ma-streets e-social media yandarisangana nayo mukufamba. Pari kutaurwa nyaya yaMudhara Geza. Inoziva kuti pakambotaurwa nyaya pachinzoni Mudhara Geza ari kunzi azobvuma mari nemota. Inini ndini number 1 kubuda ndichitaura kuti inini nyaya iri kutaurwa handisi kuibvuma because ndiri kuda umbo wakaita se wakakwana. But nhasi panapa vanhu vacho vazodzoka ende vari kuratidza kuti nyaya yacho iri kuramba ichienderera kumberi. Handisi kuziva kuti umbo wacho wavari kubuditsa muchautambirawo sei muri yeZimbabwe, muchanyatsoteerera kusvika papi nyaya iyoyo. But ndisati ndakunzwisai zvakakosha, kune vanhu vari muSouth Africa vanoshuwira kuregister makambani asi vasina mawork permit. Batai ve-education research vanonzi Mukoma Owen vanokuregisterai makambani vobva kuvhurirai FNB business account yekuti unenge wakukwanisa kuitirwa matransaction ese zvinhu zvako zvakutokuendera kana matenders unenge wakukwanisa kumajuma. So ndisati ndaplaya nyaya iri panapa, ndisati ndakuconnecta live kuti mukwanise kunge muchinzwa zvinhu zvekutaurika panapa. Kana uchinge watosvika uchiziva kuti unodeedzera kuti pasi neZANU-PF kunge zvandinoita inini, tanga nekulike this video right now kuitira kuti ZANU-PF yacho iboikani. Teererai mubva mazondudzawo zvekutaurwa panapa, muri kuzvionawo sei?
What's the date today? Today is Sunday, the 8th of June 2025. It's 14 minutes past 9. Welcome to the space, and I plan to start straight away because this is a 15-minute space. So word has it that Comrade Blessed Bombshell Geza has accepted some money and a vehicle, and to have his house reconstructed or renovated, the house that was burnt. So I asked myself a question: was that a good thing or a bad thing? What would you do if you were in his shoes? So first of all, we need to look at Comrade Geza himself, the situation that he put himself in. So Geza says, Gutizoni, we need to remove Idi Mnangagwa and Rigananda. And everybody was like, yeah, let's do this. Yes, Tanzania corruption, let's do this. Let's get rid of Rigananda. Let's get rid of Idi Mnangagwa. So first of all, Vakabuda vari 6, if I'm not mistaken, Mahoveta Kabuda Chita first very emotional press conference yakaitwa na Blessed Geza. He was not reading any script, vaingozvitaurira vega. And everybody was like, yes, This is the moment we've been waiting for. And some people started saying, hey, wait a second, but this guy is ZANU-PF. Ndibva pabuda imwe audio achiti hey, ndoda president, ndoda kupuwawo mota, ndoda kupuwawo mabodyguards. I also want to be. There was confusion, a lot of confusion. Vanhu vakati kuopposition toita sei chavanga vakarikola vanhu. Tawana munhu, if this person can remove ED, this is gonna be the best for us as Zimbabweans. Let it be. Geza wa Geza nyika, Geza wa Geza. People got so excited about that. I also got excited because I am so fed up of corruption and the way things are run in our country. Saka, takabva tanzi hakuna munhu uchabvumidzwa kupinda mustreet achiprotest. I remember my nurses protested, my teachers wanted to protest, and hakuna munhu aibvumidzwa kupinda mustreet kuti aite protest. Saka ni zvakanzi wait for the signal. Wait for the signal. Vageza vachashtaura nemi, Vageza then pitched up, vakapfeka military camouflage, and vakutotaura zvokutotaura chaizvo zvokuti tinotomubvisa. We are giving him 24 hours to go. Idi mnangagwa. Jiki jiki vadzokazve, we are giving you 10 days notice. You must leave. Apa vanhu vari kumusapota zvokuti account yake yakashuta within an hour from 0 followers to 10,000 followers. That's how desperate Zimbabweans are. That's how desperate, and that's how much Zimbabweans love their own country. Kuti can our country just be run normally that way, so that everyone can benefit? Looting yachanyanya, fine. We started hearing my audios, uyari kuita chakati, my exposés and so on. And this was in January, towards the end of January. Then February. Then we were told the protest is March 31. Idi Mnangagwa is now. So the first time it was he's going in 24 hours. Then the next warning was he's going after 10 days notice that we've given him. And then the other one was the final push, which is 31 March. Tiriku macha kwenda ku State House. Tiriku mubgisa. Vageza and Nyoka Mabunu will lead from the front. Tikati mavapire 10 days notice. You are giving them chance to plan against you. Kuti vakuvikire kuti this thing chichabudikira. You can't try to unseat someone from power. Kubva January kusvika March. Why are you giving that person notice? And then tikaona vakaflexa zvigananda zvikabuditsa matankas zvakatenderera marare. Zviya zvokuti we are ready for you. Mapurisa akaiswa every street corner, kunana chitungwiza uko, kunana kwese, kunana kuwadzana, kuti bring it on. So they were not going to take it lightly as well. Then paya, taakungonzwa vakungotaura, this and that, vanhu vakuneta. Kuti taneta nema press conference. Vamwe vakabvunza kuti maComrades ari kupiko mamwe makabuda nawo. Pavhurwa zvimagroup, nyoka yamabhunu asungwa kwava neava. And you know, you have these youngsters that are vakakomberedza. These youngsters vakakomberedza Vageza. Wangovhurawo kaplatform kake akataura zita raVageza because the citizens are so desperate. Vakubuditsa mari, toda mari yekuti, toda mari yekuzodai. MaZimbabweans atambura vedwe. All they want is just a country that is well run. That's all. That's all. Ndosaka vanhu vaiti mukaisa gudo chairo torivhotera. Because they just want a system that works. But the system manje, anonzi ani mufesi uyu Tagure, akabuda akataura akati, kana usina mari, hauna power. We've got the wealth, we've got the army. Tinobhadhara, tinogwigwa. That's what he said in his statement. Vanotirwira because we've got the money. Mwari anokupa wealth, Mwari anokupa power, Mwari anokupa army. What he was basically saying was, we've got the army. Takachibata kuti G. That's what he was saying. And Vageza, vakashedzera protest, whether it was Nyoka Yamabhunu 31, vanagana kuinda because people were no longer, they were just tired. So now, here is the situation. Geza is 82 years old. Vakura. And young people are hyping him. Geza is in South Africa. Would you honestly think for an 82-year-old man, it's a good thing could ange ari in exile at the age of 82? He's not gonna live forever. He's in his last phase of life. But he needs to be spending that time with his family, not to be in hiding, having treason charges hanging on him. And at the same time, those who had captured him, who had said, created a dependency syndrome. Vakati vakomana ndiri kudawo mari, uda mari mudhara, ndoda $350, wobva wapuwa iri 400. Anti murikona. And then he has to go again next week, ndiri kudawo mari, ndiri kudawo chakati. And the team iri kufamba nawo, iri kufundraiser zvokuti heck. Mudhara kupedzisira haasi kuwana mari. Haasi kuwana mari yezvinhu zvaari kuda, medication, he's staying indoors, he can't go out. Because uri kutsvagwa neInterpol. You get what I'm saying? So it was so hard for him kuti now he's being used as a pawn by younger people. Do kufunga vanhu vari kuti mama comrades vari kupi. Mama comrades, they've been taken care of. Vanhu vakapuwa mota, vakapuwa tumatungwarara, vakapuwa chi. So he's on his own, isolated. But ZANU-PF says, hey, siyana nezvauri kuita izvi. President vanokuregerera. Tinokukumbirira kune mukuru wenyika iwe woregererwa wodzoka wosiyana nezvauri kuita. What would you do if you were in his shoes? Would you say, ndidi kupiwa mari nini? Ndidi ma-citizens ndiri kurwira nyika? No. Situation yavakafesa nayo demanded kuti vange vachibvuma zvese zvavanenge vachiofwa. Kuti vadzokere kunyika kwavo, vagare zvakanaka pasina kutiza. It's a question yekunokumbira ruregerero face to face. Wopuwa zvaunoda, life is back on again. But for the citizens now, who said, taakusapota mudhara Geza, taakutuma mari dzedu hard earned cash from the diaspora. Tiri kuda kuti this Geza revolution ibvise zvigananda. Geza revolution failed to protect the citizens who protested. Geza revolution did not lead the protest from the front. Geza revolution disappointed the people. The people felt kuti atina kwatiri kuenda. And in the end, ivona vaGeza vacho, he ended up asking the army kuti tibatsireiwo vana general vani. And yet Chigananda Tagore had said, we've got the army. Takachibata kuti G. So how can you then go to the army and ask the army, yacho iri kufandwa na Tagore kuti tibatsirei mubvise zvigananda? Does that even make sense? And here we are again as the citizens of Zimbabwe, desperate as we are. What are we going to do about it? Ndo zvaitika, ndo zviripo, this is the situation. Geza revolution yangoti mbombombo. And the Geza revolution had started splitting. Kune tuma faction, kune chifaction chana anonzi Saruwaka, kune chifaction chomwe anonzi Traore, kune chifaction chomwe anonzi Barrister. Uyu ari kuti no ava havasi kugona, uyu ari kuti ava vakadai so. So there is this disconnection. Yekuti if people want to remove a cartel, you can't have 3 separate groups in the revolution. Yekuti you've got this guy, Saruwaka, you've got Barrister, you've got Ani, different people. You've got Geza's son also running a channel. How can you, as a football team, someone gave an example, as a football team, this team, and then whilst you are playing soccer, you are busy fighting amongst yourself. Munokunda say the other team, you don't. So this is where we are right now. And it's negative chingonyeperana. Kuti Geza revolution, tichabvisa team nangagwa, tichabvisa zvigananda, I say it's just a fat in the bloody face. Saka then wageza vaifanira kuita sei? Kugara vachichembera vari in exile. I think he's done his part. He's done his part. It's now up to the citizens. It's now up to the younger people to take up the challenge yakatangwa nemukuru and run with it, because otherwise we're gonna have 2030 tichida tisingadi 2030 is going to come. So ladies and gentlemen, this was a short space. His Grace, I saw you requested a mic. If you can request again. I said this is a 15-minute space because I don't want it to be so boring. This is the situation. What would you have done if you were Geza? Refuse the offer, stay in the diaspora? As an 82-year-old man, you have no job, your health is compromised, you don't have a home in South Africa, and people are saying, garai mudhara zvichaita tichamubvisa. When Idi Mnangagwa removed Robert Mugabe, pakabuda mari svinu kuti vanhu vashande naED. So when you say kuti we are going to remove ED Mnangagwa, ED ane mamaini ku DRC, ED ari kuto half of the country, he's owning almost everything. And then you say kuti ndokubvisai musina mari, ma citizens anofundraiser maybe kuda 10,000 pazuva, and vari kutyika kupinda muma street. So Geza wacho has seen kuti hazvisi kubuda, beta ndidzokere kumba ndinogara zvakanaka pane kugara mumba ndakavharirwa door, vana vadiki vachingofundraiser Geza revolution, kusvikira vaGeza vakukumbira mari kuti hey ndiri kurwara ndiri kudawo mari imwe ikatobva kuZimbabwe $1,000 and I think he was told to make up your mind, what do you really want to do? So this is a challenge kwamuri maZimbabweans. His Grace, welcome to the space. Please unmute and greet the audience.
Oh, thank you. I saw your communication somewhat unexpectedly, but yeah, I'm interested to know. I'm sorry, but what's the story with Geza? Where?
At the moment, I think he's got his fans that are here. Asita Pera is here. Maybe they might know, is he still in South Africa or has he gone back home? I am not so sure where he is currently as of this day.
Now to my point, I think that the rot keeps getting deeper and deeper. I can tell you, I hate everything ZANU-PF to the core. But I don't even think that we should continue blaming ZANU-PF. Something is wrong with the psyche of the Zimbabwean people. I do not understand why we find it acceptable that at every turn, if someone says the right things, whether intentionally or not, against a government, we know that some money is going to exchange hands for that person to be quiet. And we accept that. We have accepted now in the past 2.5, maybe 3 years, a situation where a very well studied and very well known criminal passes around inexplicable money whose roots no one can explain. And we think that is normal. I do not understand that. I can remind those that were alive during my youthful days that we used to have we have an animal called the pangolin. There was a time when virtually every corner you would hear people talking about, oh, a pangolin has been found, a pangolin has been found. But one time when I was interacting with my maternal grandfather, then Chief Makone, he said to me, well, there is something that's happening and that something is going to be shameful. Maybe this country is not going back. I said, what do you mean? He said, there's too many things that have happened in this country since 1980. Back at that point, I think we were probably 20 years into independence. He said there are too many things that have happened since 1980, which makes this country cursed. And this is why you see what you're seeing. I think that Zimbabweans, like you said, they're too afraid to go into the streets. That's probably half the problem. The bigger part of the problem, or the significant half, the other half, is that Zimbabweans don't even know what they want. They don't. We whinge and we whine and we cry, all the time about bad things are not good. We don't have jobs. Businesses have been taken over. Some crashed and so forth and so on. And the conditions of standards of living have plummeted. But we are not willing to do anything to fix it. So expecting Geza to do anything in and of itself is the evidence of how weak we have become. He's a man, and I don't know how old he is, but I imagine he's in his 70s or higher 70s or maybe 80s. To expect a man that old to do anything is really the worst point in terms of desperation. And yes, it has even captivated the nation's attention. I don't know why we have gone so low, but it's high time we start thinking seriously about where we are, because this is not going to get any better. Every day that the Mnangagwa and his group are in control, whether and I must say this to anyone who is ZANU PF, if you are in ZANU PF and you really care about the future of your children, your leadership today is betraying every one of those values that people went to the war for. And keep holding your party card, but you are gaining nothing today and in the future. So the majority of the people of Zimbabwe are left on the lurch, holding an empty bag, because we have just decided we can do nothing about this. And that's a disgrace. Thank you.
Solo, please go ahead. I can't hear His Grace.
Okay,
I,
thanks a lot, Chimama. Good morning, speakers and listeners. Thanks, Chimama, for having this space. And I just want to say that I think I'm going to reiterate what His Grace was saying. We need to learn to take responsibility of our future as a nation. We cannot, I think at some point, David once said that you cannot outsource the struggle. So, like, if we take things in our hands and if we unite as Zimbabweans, I think we can do things. But unfortunately, we we are like people who go for hunting. Before they even catch, they'll start arguing about who is going to take the head, who is going to take the chest, who is going to take this. That is the biggest problem. So if someone found something, you find out the other guys, they may not help that guy to catch that thing, that animal, because they will know and understand that he's going, because it's him who, Ndia Mutsa, is likely to get the bigger share out of it. So they will say, we rather lose it all. So that's the mentality we have as Zimbabweans in politics. We may differ in terms of our political organizations, but at least we must have some common and interest. All we want is a working Zimbabwe, which will work for each and every. It doesn't matter who started the struggle. It doesn't matter who initiate action. But as long as someone come forward to initiate action, we need to come together and support that person. Geza did his best. He shared the information, which was, some of the information was quite sensitive. And what I like about what he shared, it was stupid for us not to go into the streets. But because the mentality of our politicians that are, no, if this thing succeed, then Geza is going to form a government. Now Geza is quiet and no one is saying anything. As you can see, they're starting to circulate their proposal for extension of presidential term limit. And no one is going to challenge that. We cannot talk about parliament because parliament has been, there's no opposition in parliament. So whatever they're planning to do, because if you read that document, they actually saying that they just need to get the majority in parliament, which they already have.
Okay, thank you. We've got a new speaker, Geza. Please unmute and give us your thoughts.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. I won't be long. I think somehow the problem that we have as a country uh, has got more to do with tribalism than anything else. Because now, just now, the previous speaker, he listed all the political parties that he may think of. There are no political parties, opposition political parties active in Zimbabwe. But we have got ZAPU, which I think in my mind doesn't work with ZANU PF. We cannot safely say it's been captured by ZANU PF, but no one talks about ZAPU. If I may ask, why when we're mentioning the opposition political parties, ZAPU is not among those oppositions? ZAPU, as last time I checked, it wasn't like Umtwagazi. I would understand with Umtwagazi because Umtwagazi is more regional and their agenda is a bit different. But ZAPU is not a regional party. It's a national opposition party, but it's not among the oppositions as far as a lot of Zimbabweans are concerned. Why is that? That's my question. Thank you.
I may respond to Gaza's question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Look, at the base of the poverty of character and poverty of substance, not only at a political level but at a developmental level, is the problem that was introduced by Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF, and the problem is tribalism. That is not something we can quench because we induce ourselves to sleep, and at the time that we wake up, it's gone. Now, that the people of Zimbabwe, and largely the non meaning the Shona speaking people of Zimbabwe, if asked, they will not mention ZAPU among the opposition political parties, could be explained by, number one, not knowing or lack of familiarity with what ZAPU is doing today. And quite rightly, you said ZAPU is a national political party. That's true. But even ZAPU itself has also evolved. The party of ZAPU was my father's party. That party was truly national in character. In that their activities were covered the length and breadth of our country. I don't know whether, and I'm limited here by my knowledge of what I know. I've been following what that which the media can expose of what's going on with ZAPU, but it appears even they need to ramp up their national activity, their national outreach. And yes, sometimes in the absence of, if we are in a drought, for example, sometimes the absence of a little drop of water will make people say, "Hey, there is no water," even if there is a river next door which is flowing, even if weak, but there is water. So it's the same thing. I don't, assuming ZAPU is doing something. And as I said, I'm not in Zimbabwe today, so I don't know what if anything they are doing, because whatever I read out of on that party is not even sectoral. Yeah, I think it's probably personality. It's the same personality politics where someone is speaking for and on behalf of the party, and the next time you expect the same person to be speaking, And unfortunately, that's not even a problem of ZAPU alone. Even some of these dead wood political parties, they depend on personalities, which is actually the wrong way of building any movement. So yes, tribalism is a good scapegoat for everything wrong in Zimbabwe. But that's why I think politically we are not mature enough that we have escaped dealing with tribalism right in our face, even if we know and we live with the scars of tribalism, ground and many other things. Look, is it not a shame that 45 years into independence, many that are now 30 or 25, maybe even close to 40, don't have birth certificates in the country of their own birth? That should be, to anyone who's reasonable, any Zimbabwean with common sense, that's unacceptable. It's abominable. But these are things that we have this tendency which says, well, as long as it doesn't affect my kitchen or my family, then I will not talk about it. But that's the mediocrity that we have embraced as a nation. So much so that if someone commits a crime next door, because my windows are closed and I'm safe with my family, then I don't care. So yeah, your concern is genuine, but the argument needs to be broadened beyond just if we just meekly call it tribalism. There are broader issues that tribalism at the base has caused, but we need, in trying to find solutions, we must pick each and every one of them: schools, progressive educational colleges, roads, water development, the Zambezi water development program. Whatever happened to it? There's a lot of talking about that around 1994, 5, 6, and probably up to 2000. And beyond that, I don't know what has happened. There are a lot of other things we could be talking about. We're talking about mining programs in the province. We could and across the whole country. Now, as you now know, the nation has been catalyzed, so to speak. So now these people now have the people that support them, whether they are in Matebele, in Masvingo, Manicaland, Mashora and the West. They are there to cannibalize the whole economy. Like Mama said, Mnangagwa owns all, and his surrogate. They own almost everything they used to own in Zimbabwe. So at this point, we now need bigger minds that can traverse each and every one of these areas and say enough is enough. Let's create a Zimbabwe now that caters for all Zimbabweans, regardless of their skin color or of their tribe. Thank you.
Sorry, just
Okay. If
sorry, so
if
hang on. Is Gaza.
discuss,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, sorry. I just want to address the tribalism issue. For me, I don't see the tribal issue per se. Let me tell you why. We have Ndeveles who are aiding Jgananda, Ndeveles who are aiding Idi Mnangagwa, Ndebele people who witnessed the horror of Gukuraundi. They've given in and they say, okay, Idi Mnangagwa, this is what you did. We support you. The what you call the SG of ZANU PF, is it Dr. Obet or whatever his surname? I'm forgetting it. We have a lot, Javlani Swanda, a lot of them. We look opposition as well. Uchabangu, Washman Ngube, people that are working with Idi Mnangagwa. And I can't say it's all Ndeveles who are doing this. And I can't say Shonas, all Shonas are doing this. So the tribal line, for me, becomes very difficult when others say this and they refuse to look at what other Ndeveles are doing. I
Okay.
stand corrected. I stand
Okay.
corrected. I'll give you
I
time.
think
Sorry, just let me
okay.
finish. Let me finish. I'll give you time to speak. So that's issue number one. And then issue number two, I'm going to you, His Grace. We tend to blame ourselves as Zimbabweans. Somebody's mic is open. That's why there's a feedback. I think it's Gaza. So we tend to punish ourselves and blame ourselves for not standing up against brutality. And yet we forget what has happened to the opposition. I mean, we're talking of many that were abducted, tortured, killed. They had their hands chopped off. So much has happened. And the propaganda, yekuti, you end up believing that you are less Zimbabwean. You are less Zimbabwean because they constantly remind you, kuti Zimbabwe yakauya neropa, we fought for it. Therefore, we are the rightful beneficiaries of whatever happens in this country. And they always say it in your face. And they will tell you, Nika inovakwa nevene vayo. And again, I ask, who are the Venevayo when you segregate us? Like, for instance, when Idi Mnangagwa came in, he said the voice of the people is the voice of God. He acknowledges the power of the people. But then when he is in, he says, Nika inovakwa nevenevayo, brick by brick. So they play these things in your head. And Barakashi sing with Asingadi Ngabudem Zimbabwe. They sing a song. So somehow you feel less Zimbabwean. That's why you were seeing some people in churches with passports, getting their passports prayed for so that they could leave Zimbabwe. So there is this mantra which they have continuously pushed. Uchiona vanhu vanaitaidza mara vachinzi vakakandwa muacid. Uchiona vamwe vanhu vatisingatauri ivo vanatsvangirai, vana Lenmore Jongwe, even Mobi akadimburwa akaiswa mutsime and so on. So we also understand kuti 2018 masoja akauraya vanhu and that Motlanthe Commission haina zvayakaita. So my citizens, they remember those incidences and those incidents are in their heads. So vanofunga kuti tikapinda mustreet, is it going to help us? Whereas we have people who are supporting Chavangu. I remember seeing a post where Chavangu was sitting Kubaba Fields. This is a man who has recalled elected people, and he walks freely in Matabeleland, and he sits Kubaba Fields and watches a football match, and he goes. No one challenges him, kuti what I saw. So I don't understand some of the issues that are passed towards the tribal card, towards the Zimbabweans not being able to do this and that. However, there are some people, I want you to address this as well. When Geza came, people in the opposition said, Aka, we can't have this system that has oppressed us for the past 45 years. Now coming to us, because Geza said, Takambo Kukuvadzai, we've done this to opposition, but I apologize. And immediately he expects Kutimatori to forgive him. Let's move on. Idi Mnangagwa must go. This and that. And people were saying, hey, wait a second. This is a succession issue. ZANU-PF is at war with itself. Geza says Idi Mnangagwa Iva. Igorere Gudo Guru, we are going to take VP Chiwenga and he's going to lead the country. Vakati, no, we cannot support this at all. We should not be involved. There's a ZANU-PF. We will forever be changing ZANU-PF. And also Geza on his own side. He was not clear on who he was working with. For the citizens to have a buy-in, for those who are saying they didn't know, because some people said Arkushandana Kasukwere. And people were saying, Kasukwere akabviswa achinzi zvigananda zvaMugabe. So in a low key, ndo vari kumusapota Geza zvaari kuita South Africa. So they might come back. So we have removed and we are moving them back in. And vanhu vakatarisa vakadaro. So please address those issues, whichever issue that you might. Many thanks.
Okay, Mama.
Okay.
Thanks. I see there are new speakers. Istaza, I'll get back to you. I think you addressed that issue there.
I'm sure he's burning. I'm sure he's burning. It's only fair
Yeah.
to give Istaza a few minutes to respond to the issue that I raised.
Well, okay, it's fine. I see Professor Nana agreed. Dr. Peter, I noted your hand is up. Let me just briefly give Iskaza time to respond. Iskaza, can you please take the mic? Just make it short, please.
Okay, thanks very much. It's not a question of that I'm banning. I am not. And the thing is, when I said, I don't know, I should think Chimama is looking at tribalism the wrong way. The fact that we have developed people working with ZANU-PF doesn't make the system of governance non-tribal. I don't know, I might be wrong. And the fact that I'm married to a Shona speaking person cannot make me like less tribal. I can still be tribal being married with a Shona speaking person. So tribalism is there in Zimbabwe. No matter people are ready to acknowledge that or not, there is a lot of tribalism and it's destroying the country one way or the other. Let me give you a simple example. People might take it lightly, but it matters a lot to a lot of people. I supported Geza. I am supporting Geza in whatever he is doing. And I know he might be fighting for something else, maybe. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as he's fighting ZANU-PF and their agenda, I'm okay with that. So I support Geza. But it didn't sit well with me when he addresses in English. He addressed in English, and after addressing in English, he will turn to Shona and say, he said, people in Matabeleland understand Shona. That's not true. Not everyone understands Shona. Some people don't understand. You may take that lightly, but a lot of people noted that thing, and it's not okay. So I don't know, Chimama, can you safely say there is no tribalism in Zimbabwe? Because we have opposition working with developed people, we have developed people working with ZANU-PF or Mnangagwa. So that means there is no tribalism in Zimbabwe. Is that what you are saying? Thank you.
I'm looking at an angle. I was not there when Gukuraundi was happening, but I did go to an area, Irikulupane, where a certain gentleman kept his home like a rendezvous. He said, Ise yakadaro is gonna be there for as long as Bazukuru vangu vanonga varipo. It had 11 bullet holes. And those 11 bullet holes killed 12 men and women that were in that home. So inini zvangu semshona ndichiona izvozvo, I find it difficult to work with people that killed my own people. Therefore, you have people that are aggrieved kumatebeleland having some of their people supporting other. Zviri kuitika, that's why you find some in the opposition are supporting Geza. You understand? Zviri kuitika. But for me to say it's tribalism, there is tribalism. Yes, I know kuti pane maticha ainzi ari kuticha kuBulawayo, vari majority were Shona speaking, teaching Ndebele speaking children who didn't understand. I am aware of that. I am also aware of in the police sector, more Shonas being placed ikoko, and also the allocation of schools. You have schools that are built very far from homes, when I have to walk very long distances. I am aware of that. Saka, now, when you have people that are from Matabeleland joining the system, and they do not make sure these issues are addressed. Bana Jonathan Moy and all these educated Ndebeles. And then, when people raise the issue of tribalism, this side where I'm thinking, okay, this was structured for this reason, but on the flip side, you have Ndebeles who have said, no, let bygones be bygones. We are going to work with this system. So that is my take. Many thanks.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Chimama. His Grace, can I please give Professor Naropano to do Narozacho? Then it will be Dr. Peter, then Kamfana. You will take over after.
Sorry, I think it's Dr. Peter first. When I came, he was already here. Then I'll come after him.
Okay, yeah, let it be that way. Dr. Peter, can you please take the mic?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say about tribal on Geza issue. I don't think Ndoyaga leader could lose support or whatsoever. Because if Geza was in Ndebele, he was going to address in English and Ndebele language. That is it. Because some other people, they are not able to speak Ndebele fluently so that you can hear him. You get what I mean? That is easy. So to address the issue, you use English as overall. Then kushona, because mushona utaura ne language yake. That's what I feel. Then according to why do you blame Geza on what he did? For me, I have many things why I did blame Geza. I blame Geza for lying to us as a citizen of Zimbabwe. He did talk about removing Rigananda on 31. That's number one. Number two, he promised us to arrest Riganandas from day Rakaita press, which was, is it Friday or Saturday? If I'm not mistaken, should be 2 days or more before 31. He talks about action. Now I'm now blaming him because he was on front. He gave us promise with anyone vane power to remove Rigananda or vane power to arrest Rigananda or vane power to remove Munangagwa, but he failed. So kana akafaila iye akandipromisa as a citizen of Zimbabwe, I have to blame him for giving me a fake promise. You get what I mean? Then now akurarama musango as a foreigner because akashandiswa. Then other thing is about kuti he talks about anzi chinhu ndeche ZANU, of each achida opposition to support it. Iye achiti chinhu ichi ndeche ZANU ichi. I did hear him papresi yake ainana meno makoma vanhu mawo veteran avainawo panguva yaaita mapresi paina Blessed Mhlanga achiti kuisa pakataurwa naye kuti ndiani leader wenyu ari kupinda zvikanzi Chiwenga ndo watinoisa chamisa hakwani, akaramba akati ndeche ZANU ichi azviite tunozoenda whatsoever. So there's a lot of things zvinoita kuti ndiblame Geza, of which I seek my support as a citizen of Zimbabwe. I think I end there.
Excuse me, can I quickly correct something? Yeah, I don't want my point to be misrepresented. I didn't say Geza failed because he addressed in Shona, and I didn't say addressing in Shona was wrong. He addressed in English and in Shona, which is correct. But what was wrong was for him to assume, because he did say it in his words, people from Matabeleland understand Shona. Hence, he was comfortable addressing in Shona. That's a lie. Not everyone understand the Shona language from Matabeleland. So it was okay. He used a universal language, which is English. Then when he addressed in Shona, it's also okay. But you mustn't lie to say people from Matabeleland understand, Sean. That's where my problem is.
All right. Thank you very much. A few things to address to a few speakers, but it's mainly centered about two things. One is tribalism, and the other one is the Geza effect. So let me first give submission according to the space, then I'll just respond to the speakers as I'm going out. So firstly, the Geza thing. Geza is corrupt. He said it clearly, blatantly in everyone that he was asked, why do you want to be in power? I also want to eat. You want also his teeth there. But Mr. Geza, you have got hotels, you have got 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's my time also to eat. So anyone who is busy saying Geza had any correctness within him is wrong. Secondly, besides the motives that you wanted to do, why you wanted to cause the insurrection in Zimbabwe. The second thing is that is already wrong. People should die so that power should be changed in a country that is democratic and we have everything. And as we know, Kuti, it's an African effect of trying to remove, leaders by power. And it was said when President Robert Mugabe was removed by the, in quotes, coup, that once these things start, it might actually not end. Is that the country that every one of us want right now? Is that the country that we are speaking of? To say we want a country where we can remove elected president undemocratically with force, right? Or should we actually adhere to the thing? So even the opposition, it's scary to hear that our opposition, they're even happy that there was someone who wanted to cause insurrection in our country and they wanted to support him just because they want their way and they do not care about the means. It is very scary because what it means is that you're going to have your ways. That's how dictatorship is. It doesn't matter whether you're doing it good or like in China or you're doing it bad like in other countries like South Korea where you don't even get to be allowed. Democracy is democracy. If it's not democracy, then we should define it with what you want first. If it's democracy, then we should adhere to democratic ways of removing a president. So Geza was wrong in every aspect from there. Then secondly, outing in Ukazeli. When we start to mix tribalism, racism, and politics, we are playing exactly in the book that was created for that. I'm sure you are aware of what happened in the 1920s, 1930s. And when I'm saying what happened, I'm referring to the unification of Shona. That's what they actually wrote it. But it was unification of two main languages in our country, Ndebele and Shona. If I have to ask you right now, you're calling it tribalism. If Mina is Takazelo Sam, Umoyo, Moyo, De Wavumarand. But we're speaking about Professor Jonathan Moyo just now, who is another Moyo. If I am blood related directly to him and we speak a different language, does that make us different people? If we speak with our mouths that there's tribalism and put the thing that we always said should be there, the colonizers placed it as a chess, a rook on the chessboard, so that they know we're going to be divided according to those lines. If I have to ask you right now, Kuti, it's Ndebele, the Ndebele people, who are they? You're going to tell me about Amakosa. You're going to tell me about Amakalanga, Kumalo. You're going to tell me about, what's this other, from Dande region. And not now, my apologies, I'm forgetting that name. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here, we are playing into the right hands. If we are supposed to be united, let's solve our country with unity, not with divisions, not with war, not with blood. Chimama is speaking about it right now. We are always being told, I wasn't born in that time. For hell, my grandparents, both my mother and father, they are very strong. They were very strong. All of them, they passed away. They were very strong in opposition. Very strong. I'm a black sheep in my family. For supporting ZANU-PF, by the way. I'm a black sheep in my family for doing that. But it is not on the principle of racism or tribalism or hate. Let's fix politics according to policies. I agree. There is things that Matabeleland region has been neglected for years. Chimama's mentioned a lot of them right now. And those things need to be solved. But anyway, that was for you. Chimama, that is 100 million% correct. If we are saying there's no jobs in the country, any innovation that we shall bring us, whether we were going to have an Elon Musk in our country or a DeepSeek company, or if WhatsApp should have created was innovated from our country by any one of us here, or if you are the next person who creates a company which has got innovation to solve people's problems, that company will have workers. If every one of us right now we start to propagate or to move within that way, because everyone will be employed. We speak about massive unemployment. We speak about Nzara and all this. I always actually fight, even within the context of Nyadzema policies, and their minds. When they speak about we want my farms or isusu, then I get to ask, we know there is a lot of underutilized farms. Why don't we batana isusu sema Zimbabweans and we can get to tackle Shakadaro? People are the problem. Corruption, which is the problem. So isusu we are supposed to create our country. Let's be innovative. Let's unite in whatsoever branches. Not divide. But in whatsoever business, whatever branches that you would want, in soever. Whether I have got so many Ndebele people that, guys, this thing of tribalism, let's not be speaking about things that do not exist. It's in people's hearts, not in our reality.
Okay.
Let me ask you.
Sorry, Baba, Ustaza. Legend, just hold a little bit. Professor, just prepare to land in 30 seconds.
All right, thank you. As I land, I actually want to ask, how many of us have felt this tribalism that we speak of? I haven't felt any Ndebele telling me, I'm now landing. I haven't felt any Ndebele telling me, Mina, we show now and I heard this 1, 2, 3. If they've done it in their house after meeting me, probably they have, but I'll tell you that everyone that I've met from that tribe, they love me. I don't have enemies. It's not like I went out of my way. No, I'm saying those people that are surrounding me who happen to be Ndebeles, we love each other and I've never even thought of it. So I would love to actually hear on personal experience, not spoken social media experience. Yeah, here on TV, on thing, we have it. So thank you very much.
You can see 3 minutes.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, guys, thanks. Professor Naro. Not now, but you can please stay put there. I want you to tell me who are the Vene. Then after you describe the Vene, I would like you to also explain the composition of the cabinet of Zimbabwe. How many family members of Emerson Mnangagwa and close relatives who are in the cabinet, and how many Ndebele speaking people who are in the cabinet, how many Ndau speaking people who are in the cabinet, how many Zezurus, Garangas, how many Tsongas are in the cabinet? Just yeah, just do your homework, then you give us a detailed report on that. Then maybe we can talk something else. Chimama, I don't know who is next here.
Let's have the legend. Let's have the legend and then come Feske Blake.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for affording me the time on this space. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I want to recite what Geza said the other time when he was addressing the nation. He said, at that fateful evening, I still remember this, and there was no one. But I believe that Mr. Matibela in Bulawayo was working in coordination with Mr. Geza. He could have translated the speeches into East Ndebele, because some people, they're not eloquent, you know. They can speak, they can hear, but they're not eloquent. Now, I leave that subject. Point number 2, we don't expect one person to liberate a nation. That's one thing. Liberating us from dictatorship, it needs a fair coordination, contribution from each and every citizen of the country. That's a fact of life, and we cannot deny that.
Promises which were done by Geza is because he was in the system and he thought he still have the traction to get moving. But unfortunately, it never went that way. His comrades promised him what never happened, if you like. And still on that subject, there was one problem of social contract that he never actually moved the citizens into the whole thing to say, okay, look, ladies and gentlemen, I want the citizens to be on my side, and I'm going to do this, that for citizens. He eventually came out like, guns blazing, like, oh, the civil servants, we can pay them $1,500 from where? Those were figures plucked from air without substantive support. All right, so it never made sense. And then number three, we know that he was supposed to hide. He was not leading from the front. It's same as Nyoka Mabun and the whole gang, if you like. No one was in Zimbabwe to lead from the front. So this is why it lost traction. Changere was always there. Yes, we can talk whatever we like. Changere was ever always there to lead from the front. And that's my experience with Changere. Now, I go to tribalism. I'm finding, there is one thing which I can justify here because I've been in my tableland most of my life anyway. There is so much marginalization of Matabeleland. Whether we like it or not, it's there. It's glaring in our eyes. If you go in places like Enkai, Sempewole, you see a good example. There is no transport infrastructure. There is no even local. The local shops are as equal as dead. There is no investment. You understand? That's the level of marginalization we can actually see. Teachers were robbed in from Mashonaland into Koblawayo. And what I heard from them was that they were trying as much as they can to neutralize the Matabeleland so that it doesn't rise against the government, which I find quite really wrong because no one wants war anyway. Secondly, these are people who have been abused so many times. Look at Balagwe. Balagwe explains a lot of things. Memorial of their dead. All the time they say, I will go and destroy the plaque. All the time. They do this. And why? Why does the president always go and pick out the chiefs he chooses instead of listening to the people of Matabeleland who suffered from constant killing and murders at the time under the hand of the 5th Brigade? Guys, history says this. Anyone who doesn't know this, go in the Catholic Truth Commission files. You see every word, every reference. Chiwenga was there when children were killed. He forced parents to bury their children without actually giving a proper preparation and even mourning their children. That's how bad this was. And then people, they just want to gloss over this nonsense. That must be stopped. People should go and learn the history and then come and talk with the truth. Now, this idea that I got friends from a different, that doesn't gloss up. It doesn't help. It doesn't help, guys. It doesn't help. People should understand where we've come from and where we've gone. And thirdly, the history written in history books of Zimbabwe is all lies. Unfortunately, there are most lies in there. I refused to do history and I was fired from school because of that. It's all made to fit a certain narrative. Oh, fuck. Legend, I can't. The legend, I can't hear you.
I think we can proceed to the next speaker and he can always come back when he's ready.
Ngicela ukuthi ngiphawule Van Baget.
Isichaza ngicela ukuthi ubambe kancane ni because I just want to give other speakers time to speak. Then at least if they present, then you'll come in. It will be much better because I know you might raise something which you'll need people to respond and stuff. So can you give everyone an opportunity to speak? Then
Okay, no problem.
you'll
Okay,
do after. So Kamfana, you can come in. I think you're the next.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So, I would like to first and foremost comment on the issue of Geza. then I might be carried away by some of the issues that have been raised, which I think they are very crucial in solving the issue of Geza. Maybe probably on why he failed and why we have failed, or why we are still talking about some of these issues as a nation. Talking about Geza, personally, I think the motive behind Geza is very wrong, in the sense that Geza was just trying to talk about the issue of succession, whereby he was just saying, let's remove Munangagwa from the office. By so doing, we are more of replacing the driver and not changing the whole vehicle. So, personally, I'm of the opinion that we have a problem of governance, which is the reason why we are not united as a people. The real reason behind the failure of Zimbabwe as a state is mainly because we as a city, as a people, are not really united. Uh, when the Ndebele speak about the Gukura Wundi, we the Shonas also speak about uh, the the June 2008 runoffs. We also speak about the August 2 of 2018. So the whole country is in trauma as we speak, which is one of the reasons why any uprising is very difficult to enforce in Zimbabwe at the current moment. Why? Because the government has used all institutions or all tools of intimidations, which is the reason why most people are not going to participate in this movement. However, I feel like even though Geza's movement was from a wrong motive, we Zimbabweans have not only failed Geza, but we have failed every person who has tried to assist us in the nation building. Why? I feel like it has come to a point where the politics of the country is now that of the stomachs and not of the legacy or of the nation buildings per se. Why do I say this? Geza once said kuti inini ndinotodawo mota iyoyo, ndinotodawo kunge ndichipiwawo mota kid. Now zvinobva zvaradza not only Geza per se, but we also have people like Watchman Ncube. We have who once seemed to be on the side of the masses, who later on turned against the masses. We also have people like the current one, the Doing, where mayor of Harare, who once stood against the regime and the adoption of this Pomona deal, but however then turned against us in favor of his stomach, I would like to believe. So this is one of the reasons why I would like to believe that if anyone is going to come today with the correct motive, we as the Zimbabweans are not willing to adopt him, not only because we are broken as a people, and also because we we are not united enough to stand against these things. Of course, if you hear someone saying that tribalism is not there, he or uh, he or she is not conscious of his surroundings. Tribalism is there. Matabeleland has been marginalized. Go to Nkai, you will see that no part of Mashonaland can be as marginalized as in Kai. When you're talking of this Kukura wound, we are not only talking about the things that happened in history. We have people who actually have wounds. So I would like to believe that saying that tribalism is not there would be in a way to dismiss a very valid point, and also to should I say to poke on some unhealed wounds. But I would also like to urge my Ndebele colleagues that there's nothing called Shona. This Shona word is actually a word that was meant to divide us, the Ndebeles, from the Shona, because when you're talking of the Shona, it's a group of different dialects, different traditions altogether. You'd like, if you are to look into it, I would like to look into the issue of Manikas. The Manikas are now they are not really involved in this current government, if you are to look at it, and they are not crying foul about it. So it's not about the issue of tribalism alone. It's the issue of the whole governance, to say. So that's my contribution to the space.
Okay. I don't know if it's is it Zampez or Zampez or Zamp. I can't see the full name, but is ZMB
Yeah, it's Zambezi. It's Zambezi.
Zampez? I think you haven't spoken yet. Can you please take the mic?
Can you take the next speaker while I clear something?
Okay. Host and co-host, Easters, I want to respond. I don't know if you should give him time.
Well, I guess he can, because I don't see many speakers on the platform.
Oh, okay. So, Babo Stars, tell us to
I was
grab a
wanted
mic.
I was wanted to ask something. Sorry.
Okay. Can I proceed? Or ukhona ofuna ukungena?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Ngiyacela ukuthi bandla indaba ye-tribalism siyibheke kabanzi. I think i-tribalism is not a question of indebele lithuka ishona or idonga lithuka indebele noma umsuthu ekhuluma kabi ngevenda. Ibanzi, it's far wide than that. Because for instance ukhona lo bhoti othe yena uphila kamnandi namaNdebele, ayiqali lapho futhi ayigcini lapho i-tribalism i-wide and ukuthi kunamaNdebele aphila kamnandi ehlangene namashona or kanje idlula lapho i-tribalism. Ngiyabonga kunespeaker la esike sakhuluma iphuzu elibaluleke kabi angangokuthi ucela ukuthi babe nama details ukuthi formation ehulumeni ekhona manje imi kanjani. I-tribalism is not only against amaNdebele, as it is ishona nendebele zakhandwa nge-tribalism lezinto because kune narrative or kune goal lo muntu owakhanda lezinto ayeyifuna. Isishona sisodwa kune-tribalism ngaphakathi, hence uMgabe ubebusa ngendlela yakhe ethethe abe-tribe yakhe wabasondeza duze kwakhe. Now uMnangagwa naye ubusa ngendlela yakhe, naye uthethe amakaranga nawo wabekelana abanye bavalele kusaseyi-tribalism naleyo. It's not only like i-tribalism indebele versus ishona. Ngicela singayibuki ngaleyo ndlela ngoba suke siyibheka wrong. Tribalism eZimbabwe ikhona and is too deep kangangokuthi kuzoba nzima ukwethembana ngoba manje makuvela ikaranga lifuna ukulungisa selidonsela ngakubo. These other tribes will not support ikaranga. Indebele malenzo kwalo amashona azusupport indebele. AmaNdebele asasenaleya nto leyana eyenzakala kuwo, they don't want to support into ezibuya eHarare, all those things. That's tribalism, and until we fix that as a nation akukho la siyakhona. Singayenza yonke into nje kodwa ke akuzukulunga. Ngiyabonga.
Yeah, thank you. Kamfeske Black's hand is up, so I don't know. Co-host, did you want to say something, Dr. Peter?
I was just want to pose a question to Professor Mara. I'm not seeing he's not here. He was talking about Nika Inovakwa Nevenevai. So I was wanted to ask him about Parkuti Nika Inovakwa Nevenevai Arkureve, because as what we see in Zimbabwe, are you saying Nika Inovakwa Nevenevai while we are giving Peter Chari a contract? Why I don't have info or something on the ground, like unondipa contract yekugadzira marod handina kana grade handina kana weka handina kana chii, ndopiwa mari yekunzi ndinogadzira road. Ndokunyika kunovakwa neveneayo iri kwaari kutaura kwatinozozviona tave inonzi tribalism. Ndokuvakwa kwenyika kweveneayo iri kwavari kutaura ndokwana handisina kunzwisisa. So I say it's no longer here.
He's trying to come back, and let's have Kamfeske Black though before Professor Naro, and then we go
Okay.
to.
Thank you very much, Mama. So I wanted to pose a question for Gaza. I wanted to say, it's if we are saying that the Mugabe came and included his kin, and this Mnangagwa comes and also includes his kin, is it now an issue of nepotism, or is it an issue of tribalism? Because I'd like to believe this issue of nepotism, which is really little to do with tribalism. Of course,
Okay,
there is
before I
kinsmen in a
forget,
way.
I think to me, a Karanga, isn't it? Karanga is a tribe. Manyika is a tribe, and Zezuru is a tribe. Unless if I'm wrong,
Uh,
then that's
okay,
tribalism. Because
okay.
nepotism, I think, is a situation whereby he's putting his sons, his relatives, and stuff. That's nepotism.
That,
But like
that's literally
when
what he's doing. That literally what he is doing. Mnangagwa is putting in his children, his
No,
kinsmen,
but I think
not his
Iskaza
tribesmen.
has got a point. Hang on. He's brought a point I wasn't aware of. Yekuti, Karanga, and Zezuru, it's a tribe. So let's address that tribalism issue there. Is it tribalism? Shonas versus Karangas versus Zezuru. Is that a matter of tribalism, or we've always accepted Shona and Ndebele to be tribalism?
Chimama, I think there is tribalism because historically we didn't have Shona. Shona was introduced when they come with that word Chikanda Mazeko. So it was the languages Zezuru, Karanga, Korekore, Manyika, Ndau, and I think there were 7 languages which were combined to come up with what we call Shona today. So those are the those tribes. Zezuru is a tribe, Karanga is a tribe, Ndau is a tribe, Manyika is a tribe, Korekore is a tribe. Then they were grouped together. So when you talk of tribalism, it seems if tribalism only existed between the Shona speaking people versus the Ndebele speaking people. But I want to give you an example. I'm from Chipinga, I'm Ndau. ZANU-PF, which was led mostly by the Karangas and the Zezurus, was marginalizing Chipinge. Were only saved by the late Reverend Abaningi Stole, who actually brought development through donors when he was the member of parliament for Manicaland. So that tribalism existed. If you go to Chirez, I think where you have the which language is this? So I'm failing to remember the name, but I think the Shangani speaking people. If you go that side, you find out that they are also marginalized. Then if you go to Binga, the same thing happens. So it's all tribalism. There are places, most of the developed places in Zimbabwe, they are around the Zezuru and Karanga speaking people. In Manicaland, yes, we have development, but it's mostly due to availability of resources. Those places were developed because people wanted to have access to those resources in those regions. But if it happened that there was nothing in Manicaland, obviously you're going to find Manicaland very backward.
So I was actually here. I did notice that I'm not engaged. I think my network had just flipped in and out. So it made me look as if I dropped. But I was, yeah. So firstly, sorry to say, Kuti, when we introduce our own perspective, it's exactly how I saw how my life is like. I don't have Ndebele who tells me or anything bad because I'm Shona or I don't. And it doesn't mean Kuti, from that perspective, then everything is like that. I hope you guys can still hear me. I hope this notion comes to be straight.
100%.
Then, all right, perfect. Then I wanted to second the issue about tribalism and government. I think it was Chimama we had asked about who they are placing on top. They are placing their families, and I do not like that. I do not like nepotism. I'm one of those guys who say there shouldn't be any 2030. The reason is I believe that right there in ZANU-PF, there are more people who are capable of lifting the party and continuing with it. So us saying, oh, we must extend whoever who is in leadership, it's a way of saying that we wouldn't be having someone who is sharp in thinking. But if there is any other reason for the presidential terms to be extended and all that, let those reasons be found. But personally, I do not like the fact that I'm a president, then I'm going to start to have my family members being the Minister of Defense, being the Minister of Finance, and all that. It is very bad. I do not support that in any way, in any kind of way.
Oh, so Prof, just a second. Whilst you had dropped, there was a question that was posed at you by Dr. Peter, who said the issue of Vene. I think it's important that we, and you said, and he asked, who are these Vene? Who said, takashibata kuti G. And then we find, you rightfully said any Zimbabwean can, start a business that employs people. Any Zimbabwean is Vene. Then we have incidences where we find that some Zimbabweans have their homes, they are displaced, Zimbabwe no putswa. And then vanonzi vavakira kusiriko, vanoregedza vanhu vachivaka kusvika imba yapera, vanoputsa, vanopisa mbare mpedza nhamo, with people's vanenge vaisa capital yavo, vakaviga mari dzavo ikoko, vakatenga stock yavo and everything. And we find kuti kunoitwazve steel works as well, it's also destroyed, no one cares. So then people ask, who are these Vene? Thank you.
So Vene is chikaranga, I think, for vana or varidzi vayo, something like that. And kuti ndiani Vene, you actually said it. Kuti ndatotaura kutoti Vene ndimi, inini, and every one of us. Give me yayo nevanhu varimo.
Can you guys hear Prof? Ask ku breaker. Can you hear Prof Ngima co-host?
Yeah.
Can you hear Prof?
We can't hear Prof.
Ndikunzwika. Am I
okay? Ayo, wakunzwika manje. Okay, wakunzwika. Continue, please.
All right. Sorry, maybe mic yangu ine noise cancellation, so there's a truck that's about to leave compound. Saka, okay, anyway, what I'm trying to highlight here, ndepe kuti Vene tisu isusu varidzi venyika, imimi inini, everyone who is muZimbabwean, iyo wache watikutaura kuti anofunga akagara pasi kuti kumatebeleland kuri marginalized, nematomatoes ari marginalized. Rega ndichivhura company kunoku inoorder directly matomatoes kubva kudomboshava, kwamurewa, kwakati, matrucks and organize because zvine profit mukati. Inonzi, what do they call it? Capital, the word, ruiscape musoro mangu, but like capitalization, right? So isusu, it's opportunities for us. Isusu. Pova pauya within that context kuti ndazoseka chimama pamati takachibata kuti dri. I think those are extra mantras dzinenge dzichitaurwa nevamwe vanhu vanenge vachida kushotesa, and we do understand kuti vanenge vachida kushotesa kuti tisu tacho tiri kutonga hapana zvamunotiita, right? It's banter, I would call it. But within that banter, certain people
and the is asingati ngabude mZimbabwe also banter.
The thing about it is true. Kana usiri kuda contributor kuvaka nyika iwewe as a person wokuti urugara munyika yaurugara and you don't want to be contributing kunyika iyoyo, what do you want? Urukudei. We speak about we want a good country. We speak about corruption. Corruption is not going to be rooted out in a government. It's going to be rooted out by every one of us. So if we are participating by corruption,
okay, wait right there. Every one of us can root out corruption. How? Every one of us, how?
Let me start by putting it this. Anza number benefit any rand ndauti rand bills into South Africa, any cent or dollar rinonzi rabiwa kuZimbabwe or whatsoever, handisati namboridya. And it's not about kuridya, but ndikuona kuti inini mwana wangu achakufana kunge ari kunyika ikoko, achafana kunge ane mahospitals, zvikoro. We need to be building those things.
Aiwa, no chomi, just get straight. Wataura something kuti munhu wese can work kuti tibvise corruption. How can we do that? Because that's what we want to do. Tell us.
Okay. Pese pauri kuona pachipa corruption. Ibuditse itaure. Uya pano pa Twitter kana zvichinetsa kuenda mapurisa uzoita people, any of the what do you call it? Institutes that we have created the corruption boards anokwanisa kakepshwa. Uya pano pa Twitter ushotaura zvikuita vamwe. Udzana chimama, I think chimama munogara mupurisa nyaya. Ya unokwanisa kusumudza ruoko rwako Zambezi, no problem. Sorry, no Zambezi, unokwanisa kungosumudza ruoko rwako, handisutiza inini ndiri panapa and I'll answer you. Ungosumudza ruoko rwako mukomana.
Okay, guys, Professor Naro.
Can we move on?
Professor Naro, okay.
All right.
Zambezi, we just want a smooth flow of this conversation. If you have any question, raise your hand. Then we're gonna give you the chance. I see the legend's hand is up. Is it a question to Professor Naro, or you want to contribute something else?
You know what, Munoziaka, nyaya ye corruption and then marginalization. I just want to make it very clear here. It is down to government policy, and when the government policy is ineffective, and if the government policy is nowhere to be found, we always find imbalances in the regions of the country. And let me put it in a very simple way. We got central government, then we got local governments. Okay. That means that the government is not willing to spend anything on other regions for reasons known to them, which we cannot explain. And then let's go to industrialization. The government is not willing to invest in industry. And everybody cannot be a farmer. Everybody cannot be a hustler. Everybody cannot be in the same trade. But all people are different. And what we need to know, we have a chain of an ecosystem: consumers, producers, higher feeders, middle feeders, and so on. The chain goes on and on and on. Now, Zimbabwe has been reduced to people who cannot see beyond a certain level of country administration. We have been reduced to praise singers and the party conformists without actually questioning the ideological background of anything which belongs to that party. Now, when people like us come in and then question things, right, we become the bad guys. Right. Right. So what I'm saying here is pretty simple. Matebeleland, I always refer this to Matebeleland because I've been there, you know. Yaifana kuwane road infrastructure, yaifana kuwane ma hospitals akawanda besides the UBH. Yaifana kunge in a very good transport system. Right? Akuna, yaifana kunge in my local polyclinics, akuna for pregnant women. Isn't house wani? Kanza watu wani kwa EHNS. And you don't find those things. And what is the government doing about it? There's vast lands, it's RICO, and investment definitely pour in. And vanave kuva fanonge vachitwa maticha vachidza ma areas mavo vachita zvavanoita. But there's one sad story which I've actually seen in Matebeleland. Mina sehambe egoli, right? Kundiwana basa because the opportunity hamuna. So the government has to create opportunity. If we cannot see these guys ga apanta tukita and and this is where the problem is. We think that ZANU-PF has to stay and we have to change. No, ZANU-PF has to go. It's been there for 45 years. It has failed to do anything tangible chatino in as far as benefiting people directly is concerned. Yes, those are the arguments. Yeah, 500 schools yeah, 1,000 that I've never seen one. You probably 2, 3 and those zero and but Zaka see what's in the middle of development. And because the economy must prepare children to become investors, to become an asset to the nation. Have we created that? as a nation. When we see that not happening, we know that the government policy is totally bad. It's totally bad because it's preparing no one to become anything. Mukaona nyika yazara vanhu vanotakura kasha vachipa $10 online guys, there's something really wrong. Now let's go to Glen Eagles industry in Harare, Southampton. I say I'm a church. Can you tell me kuti tiri kuite chii as a government when you see churches sprouting every day? Even muchiti muri mu government. These are practical things which we need to look at. Never now reform 4, never reform 6 vachiti kana vari pa holiday. They go and do my part times. Vachidzoka kuti any man, you teach them to any man to manage money at a younger age. Vachikura vakawise up. Mwana anokura asingazivi kugeza mushawa achigeza mujagi, you know, and isu takura kurona zengeza kwekutungwiza kategeza mushawa, you know, they were shower because mvura yefamba. Imimi, your government is promoting my boreholes. Guys, a Morton Jeffries is there. It needs only 4 pumps. And July Mo stole the money. Everyone knows this. When you see corruption, this guys, corruption is there, and corruption is the president and his party, and we cannot deny that. But how do we sort this out? We need the ZANU-PF out, and the ZANU-PF causes division. So that they can keep on benefiting. We are seeing this is happening every day. So what we need to do here. Our mindset must change as a citizen. To not visa bachile kwa ZANU, visa bachile kwa MDC, visa ZANU kwa CCC. Let's hold these people to account, and if they cannot be held to account on the shelf, let's kick them out and put people who want to be our servants to do what we want, because that's what my constitution says, that the president, your animal MPs are my servants. This is why I disagree with them, because they don't do what I want as a citizen. They want to do those nepotism. Because I think we can do the kind of wondo. I want to see the way what kind of wondo and what development did you bring to the country? If you think that I wasn't going to fight the war, then that's wrong. If I was born at your time, so they fought for us, and they fought for the benefit of everyone. No one should be arrogant about going to war, because when want is such a license to abuse us. You have to understand this. This is the bottom line. And if these war veterans and these fighters they can go to hell with going to war. But we respect people who went to war for our tomorrow. Our tomorrow respect. Because things were too Geza, and we deserve the independence we got for fighting the enemy. Thank you.
Okay,
Can I just respond if you find? I've got just a few points and I'll respond quickly.
No. We've got new speakers, so let them speak first.
One of my new speakers, Actism, then followed by Clive.
Everybody, yeah. Just a few contributions. Very nice discussions here. I just want to touch on 2 things just briefly. On the issue of Geza, my feeling is, look, when gang members fight, right? It always happens that one of them, 2 of them, will become rebels, and they check out, and they tend to appear good or appease to their victims. That's how I view the Geza's case. I don't want to deliver it much. Much has been said, but that's my feeling. Right. Let's go to the issue of marginalization, the issue of segregation. Right. This has been happening for quite some time. If you look to the Bulawayo was systematically distracted in terms of its economy, which was vibrant before. And the Bulawayo being the region near South Africa and Botswana, it's close, very much closer to the borders, but its economy was systematically distracted. As early as 1994, the Bulawayo people were moving to South Africa to look for jobs. And the situation just escalated. The government had no policy whatsoever to stop this and provide jobs. And this came as a cost to the whole nation because we started losing critical skills to South Africa. Right. Number 2, this systematic marginalization starts at the top of the government. It's not between you and me, ordinary people. It starts at the top, right? How come we have a president who is a Shona, a vice president who is a Shona, a vice president who is a Ndebele? It starts from there.
Mukaranga.
Yeah, it just starts from there. The quarrels about segregation and the like between you and me, those things, they don't matter. It matters at the top, right? Why? Simply because the Ndebele is made to say you will never become a president in the country you were born, because if you are VP, Ndebele VP Shona, when the president retires, the VP Shona will take off. And that's where segregation starts. That's where everything starts to collapse. So the top leadership, the president and all other top leaders should try to communicate this to the rest of the Zimbabwe to say, every Zimbabwean born here with a birth certificate and ID is able to become a president, may become a president at any time. We are now struggling with this. And it comes as a cost, because we're sitting with the two vice presidents, right? Where South Africa with the 65 million people has just one vice president. Zimbabwe with the 17 million people is sitting with two vice presidents doing nothing. That's the cost part of it. Thank you. I have to go.
Clive, are you there? Clive, can you take this?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks, my host. Thanks, Shimama. Thanks, everyone. Would want to like firstly comment on the previous two speakers. They literally, said a lot in line with what I was planning to say. There's a question that Shimama asked before the previous two speakers spoke. I think someone was talking and then they contributed a point where they said corruption is also something that we as the people can, start navigating towards ending. And Chimama asked Kuti, how do we address corruption at individual level? So I'll start there. I think I've shared in a previous space, if not more than one, at some point that the level of corruption in Zimbabwe right now, it comes from, no, it actually facilitates two factors. It facilitates the looting that's happening in the top elites, but at the same time, it has put everyone in survival mode in terms of people at the bottom. It has put everyone in a place where everyone is really just trying to survive to the next day. So that starts building up an element of self catering tendencies. So if I can be corrupt for a day and I am alive at the end of that day, then that's cool. So you see that teachers in schools choose to not deliver in the schools, but they keep aside all the work they're supposed to do for extra lessons that they then get paid on the side. Now, I know very well that teachers are getting paid peanuts, and sometimes yes, they do that for. But that's what I'm saying, that's the survival mode. So they choose to just deliver minimum in that 5-day calendar where they're getting paid peanuts by the government, and they choose to keep this other material for extra lessons where they get paid directly by the parents. It gets straight into their pockets, and then they can take care of their needs. But that act alone of that's corrupt. That act alone, it's in a corrupt nature. It's the same thing with when you're put over by the police, right? And you're supposed to pay maybe a ticket $50 or something. If the law is being correctly enforced, right? Let's say you lack a lot of my essentials that you're supposed to be have, not the dramatic BC license, or no, not those ones. But let's say your car is not in a functional state, and you get pulled over, and then you're supposed to at least pay something like $50, right? Because that's correct and that's what you're supposed to do. Then because you don't have the $50 and you also need that car to do your daily hustles, because you want to try and meet and make ends meet, you end up paying $10 or $50, or I mean $20, that goes straight into that police officer's pocket. That's corruption. So that's corruption at grassroots level, and there's lots that the moment we start pushing back on certain things, like what, this officer is trying to make me pay $20 at this level instead of me paying $50 that goes straight to the or whatever committees. I'm not going to do that. If teachers be like, what, if you don't, I mean, parents are like, if you don't want to be in the class Monday to Friday teaching our kids what they're supposed to be taught, then that's fine. It's okay. You can strike off so that at least we know we're eliminating the school route. Then if you're going to be teaching our kids using extra lessons 100%, we are willing to do that. That moment you see that, a lot of things, can start being turned around by whoever responsible for them, who is relaxed right now because people are not angry enough. They'll start making the moves. Then coming back to the Geza situation, and I think I've also like caught on to some conversation about marginalization based off tribalism and nepotism and the likes. I will speak. So for that, nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, one thing that I would actually be proud to openly share is ZANU-PF is naturally, and here's my thing, right? ZANU-PF naturally on a vote buying scheme. Then they've never they've never begged that, like beg themselves from that aspect. They do that, right? They know they use materialism to gain people's favors. So literally that statement, Zimbabwe, I feel like it's opening whoever wants to join ZANU-PF. Whoever wants to join ZANU-PF is the Vene. Whoever wants to, because I'm thinking, at what point do you actually go to ZANU-PF and tell ZANU-PF you want to join ZANU-PF, and they would like decline or they would turn you down? Like, what would you have done if a whole active person in MDC chooses to join ZANU-PF at some point? If a whole presidential candidate who actually ran against Mnangagwa chooses to go to Mnangagwa and be like, oh, you know what, we can form an alliance, and Mnangagwa is like, okay, fine. That means that anyone is actually capable of joining that whole ZANU-PF and movement, and then you can move together ahead. Now, when it comes to nepotism, I feel like nepotism and marginalization, those things are there. Tribalism, I heard someone mentioning that the Shona tribes and I think they come from Chipinge too, and they mentioned that. But now if you look into our history, you look back at where the Ndau people came from. Ndau was literally part of the what you call it, the Nguni clans, like coming to Zimbabwe, the Gaza state, the Soshangani. It's Ndau is more related to Ndebele than it is actually related to the Zezurus and the Karangas. Even the other lower southern tribes like Shirezi, there's the Shangani. There's also the Ndau part in the Shangani. That's, I think, with the origins of Wanao Pochungono. That's actually where they do come from. But what I'm trying to say is there are people who feel like, they're entitled to political affluence in Zimbabwe. In as much as there are other people who feel like, it's also spiritually, we are the elites. There are people who are entitled to, we own the economic structures of Zimbabwe, and they practice a lot of gatekeeping. Now, what you need to understand is it's not just a legacy issue. This is also them protecting their own interests, right? Somebody mentioned that Blawayo by 1994 was already destroyed. People were leaving. That's true. That's actually on the record. But you also want to look into the aspects of people like Obetumpov. So you then see that Obetumpov and him being a down, like he's actually deeply in the rally, and his participation in ZANU-PF and how he is actually contributed towards the decline of Blawayo. The same thing with, I was talking to someone who was telling me that literally there was no Webster Shamu before 1980. There was somebody else who then became later Webster Shamu after 1980, and tried to look at how much Webster Shamu accumulated just by being, part of the VNA that we're talking about, or bit of part of the VNA that we're talking about. So, it goes beyond marginalization. You can actually be from Tare, you want to join ZANU-PF. What the structure allows you to do is you get into ZANU-PF, they pivot you in a place where you can be influential in Mutare, but you have your limits when it comes to the central office, when it comes to the national politics of Zimbabwe. We have seen that with people like Opam Chunguru, who at some point was appointed as governor of Manicaland. We have seen that with Christopher Mshowe, who at some point was appointed governor of Manicaland. But when it came to the national politics and geopolitical movement, he was appointed nation president of presidential scholarship. Obam Chungur was put in the women ministry. My point being, there is a gatekeeping that they do, which is very, very visible. There's no debate about that. But when it comes to fixing the economy and fixing the issues in Zimbabwe, it's more than just ZANU-PF. And I've said it before. We have a system that needs to be flushed out. Somebody once said, the system is made of institutions, and institutions are made of people. And it's those people who need to be conscientized. And I've said it over and over. Removing ZANU-PF from power whilst the system remains in place, it's going to just get replaced by another individual. We have seen the same thing. So I once said, MDC was formed, but the only president that I feel about in Zimbabwe was Morgan Tsvangirai. And this was not out of malice or spite. This was me just telling everyone that most political parties that are being formed in Zimbabwe are being formed by people who at some point wanted to be leaders in ZANU-PF, but because of the nature of politics in ZANU-PF did not see that future. So they formed their own political parties, right? But it's the same system that they're replicating from ZANU-PF that they're actually forming these other political parties. And because of that, we are likely going to fail to remove this system that we need to flush out, because we are all about the political parties. We are not about the systems that are in place that need to be cast out. I get passionate about this, so I think I need to cut it for now, and I can always speak later.
So I really wanted you to address the issue of Geza. Would you blame Geza for what he did? I mean, being sucked back into ZANU-PF. Are you comfortable commenting on that?
Yes, Chimam. I think me and you have always talked about Geza, right? And I also know Geza personally. I've said that with you as well. But I don't blame him. Because remember, there's also a part of, even if Geza wants to continue carrying out this operation, there's also a part of him that needs to feel safe within. Remember what happened, I think a month ago, with Mike Guti, when she was offered the car and she declined it. The next week we saw that Zegu University is up for demolitions. Because these things do happen, right? So I wouldn't blame him. Honestly, I wouldn't blame him. And I feel like also for him to get to that point where he addressed the nation saying, as Zimbabweans, we need to do A, B, C, D, is because there's a part of him that was lacking. There's a part of him that wanted, a good life, and he wasn't getting that. So if this good life is now being advertised to him, I wouldn't blame him as a person if he gets tempted to join, because that's what he actually was motivating him in the first place. The same thing with those other generals that we first saw him with, that we did not see him with, like in later videos that came. I feel like some things were actually presented to them for their silence, and they kept in. So I wouldn't really blame Geza. And I don't think that a lot of other people here in this space, if you're put in that situation where you know that you're being offered this car, but if you decline the car, it's not just you declining the car and then you being left alone. There's more to come after that. If you received and took the car, I wouldn't blame anybody. I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame Chimama. I personally would do the same, but just maybe to allow me space to continue with whatever it is that I'm carrying out. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically we have Idi Mnangagwa, who is saying, I will not let anyone or anything come in my way. 2030 it is. So if Geza is wanting something, give him. Maovis, do they need something to just shut up? Give them cars, give them whatever they want. 2030 is gonna be the way forward for us as Zimbabweans. So uno blame us say Geza, you can't really blame him. But where does it leave us as the citizens of Zimbabwe that are still aggrieved? We cannot take to the streets to express or to hold the government to account. Kutitaneta ne corruption. And I think, like I said earlier on, ZANU PF has, repeatedly said, kuti, stuff like tengesa one mashura, mukapinda mumastreets munokuwadzwa, nyoka yemabhunu would say kuti no, hakuna munhu anopinda mustreet. You need the protection of the army, otherwise people will be killed. So they've constantly told people kuti it's impossible to go in the streets. If you do go in the streets, remember what happened in 2018. This is what is going to happen to you. So this language is constantly said in our faces, such that people end up being scared. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to round off in a few minutes, because Nandati, this space should take about 15 minutes. So Aninga Taura ovadzika zvake, and then we close the space. Okay, Clive, you can say your last 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I want to land with this. With me, the biggest betrayal to people has never been from. I mean, the biggest betrayal to people who are struggling right now and want a change. The betrayal has never been from ZANU PF or from the people in government. You just mentioned, and I'll close with this. You just mentioned what happened in August 2018, right? Remember, after the shootings and all that, the whole situation was followed by an inquiry of commission that was headed by Motlanthe. I remember when President Chamisa at that point, when he gave his testimony, that was heartbreaking. The fact that he said those people were stupid. Why would they go into the streets and demonstrate? And this is the very same thing that we are calling for every day here. The fact that he said that let people down. Now, do I blame him? No, I don't blame him, because the same thing that happened to Geza right now could have happened to him at that point. So I'm just trying to conscientize people, like, this is the system that we have. Like you said, when Mnangagwa is saying no one should come in my way, if they are coming, give them what they are looking for. What happens if that person gets what they are looking for in terms of materialism, and they are our leader on the other side? So yeah, I'll close with that. Like, sometimes we actually need those strong figures that need to stand for what they believe in and cannot easily keep when they're offered these peanuts. But when these things happen, it betrays the whole struggle. It puts everyone back to zero. It's just like the Geza situation right now, where people are seeing him and they are like, oh, so if he was the hope that we had for this movement for the past 4 months, and he just kept in like that, where does it leave everyone? I'll end with that.
Okay, I think it's a little bit unfair for you. Sorry to just interject. It's a little bit unfair for us or for you to say, Kuti, when Nelson Chamisa said, "Vakapinda ma streets, they were stupid." I don't think he had a better word of saying that, but just being frank like that, because Morgan Changira himself, remember, he used to hold a lot of protests. Same strategy, same place, yakanzana Geza ngatisangane, and Mapulisa would just do this komba imurove, wodira tear gas, people disperse like that. It has always been the citizens vanopedzisira vachirohwa handiti. And Morgan Changirai said, I will never go to State House, whilst I'm stepping on dead bodies, just because I need to be the president of Zimbabwe. And that is the same message yaka paswa on to Nelson Chamisa, kuti never ever expose the citizens to be at the mercy of the army, such that they will be killed. And then you would say, okay, I am now going to be the president of Zimbabwe. So I don't know what other word he would have said, but he stood by that word. Yeah, the former opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai because vanozoti vanhu vanourayiwa. So the protests dzakaitika, there was a price increase, or was it yekuti results anonoka kubuda
Yes,
here? I can't remember. Someone
yeah,
correct
I
me.
was referencing the results from the elections soon after the August elections. Those are the ones I was referencing. My point was, remember when we had 2008 elections, and then BT announced the elections like, yo, Murugubirirwa, go and protest. You know, when people protested and all these people got beat, right? Towards the runoff, Changirai stepped down because he was like, I cannot continue with this because ABC is happening, right? I was just referencing how we received it, like how people, I mean, me and you, we are intellects, right? So we can actually relate, like, oh, this is what Chamisa was trying to communicate, right? But I'm talking about the regular random person who is actually either for Muna 4th Street or, you know, Muna 1st Street protesting for the elections to be released, or for the election results to be released. They get shot. Remember, Chamisa is by Brond Hotel. Now, these people are just like 2-3 kilometers away, and they're protesting for you to actually get the fair result, right? And then these people, sometimes, you know, they got shot, some died, right? And I'm saying, when you're addressing that, you know, people are actually expecting whatever type of backing up, like, okay, this is our president defending us, but that's not what he did. So I was just giving the mere opinion of the regular random citizen who was actually actively, you know, protesting against my soldiers in count for the election result. That they're, you know, getting that tag like, oh, those people were stupid, because that thing went viral. He said there are video clips of him saying that, oh, those people were stupid and all this. Why would you go?
But do you remember what Nyoka Emabunu was doing most of the time?
Yeah, I
Telling
do.
people a protest needs to be organized. Telling people, kuti musapinda ma streets, you will get the signal. You will get the signal. And people kept waiting and waiting. And then you find kuti the disorganization that was there, where you said Miti told the people to go into the street. But not a coordination.
I
And if
understand.
there is no coordination, you would have words like, it was stupid for you to go because I did not tell you go to Pindaima streets or something like that. But anyway, let's not make this
Yeah,
space about Chamisa anyway. But
right.
yeah, Dr. Peter, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was wanted to say something about him. Now a demonstration. I don't feel like Zimbabweans we could demonstrate. I don't feel like that. People are scared to demonstrate kuendesa vanhu vanozotengesa. Amanogara ndataura zvinonzwika. Turi kutya kudemonstratira vanhu vanozotitengesa kumberi. Like ndinoprotestera kuti dai mafume apinda, then at the end ozondipa results aakutipa. Ndo zviri kutya vanhu. For us kunodemonstrata kuti tidai hatikwati, but tiri kutya kudemonstrata mabetrayals. Then issue yana Nyoka Mabhunu and so forth. For me, inini ndakatoona Nyoka Mabhunu asiri mu vision yana Geza, even at first day. Munhu aitora no struggle yake nema speculative ake aitarisira kana zvaida zvishuviro zvake zvaida. That's what I was end to say. Then I was just saying tinenge ndaakudona ndaakudiwa. Then ndaida kusira anonzani Professor Naro vabvira kare vakasudza ruoko vanogona kutora avo mai.
Professor Naro kana achidzoka ngaadrese nyaya yake yekuti vene asatanga nedzimwe nyaya kuti vene ndanani.
Issue of rich mama, it's obviously when you talk about Chivene, if you say not the Chinyika, inovakwa nevenhu kwandiri, and one uine reason yekudisagree nana Chivayo nana Tagwire nanani, because those are the when you say nyika inovakwa nevenhu, you can't disagree with Chivayo. You can't say Chivayo is looting or whatsoever, because vari kuitwa mavene ivo nesu takangofanana mavene. Saka when you talk about vene, for me, and you have to understand